Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bon Voyage Besties with your hosts, Rosa and Rachel. Our show aims to bring you real life travel stories, tips, and all the wanderlust vibes. And today we're super excited to have Tess joining us. So please give a warm welcome. She's an author and the founder of HerHouse, an amazing app and community designed to help solo female travelers connect with background check women hosts around the world. It's all about creating safe, affordable, and empowering spaces for women on the go. So, welcome, Tess, to the show.
Woohoo! Hey, hi, Rosa. Hi, Rachel. So happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, we're so excited to have you here. So, I know, at least for us, both myself and Rachel, we dab into the female solo travel, and it could be fun and glamorous, but it can also come with a little bit of hardships financially, emotionally, and just from a level of safety and security. So we're super excited to have you here and kind of chat about ways that you can transform your solo trip into an unforgettable adventure. So if you want, we can just kind of dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll give just like a little background about me so that your listeners kind of know who I am. Again, my name's Tess Millhollon. I am a published author and founder of HerHouse, which is just like you said, Rosa, an app community that helps solo women travelers connect with women around the world who host them. We're bringing solo women travelers together so that we can host each other and just live a life full of adventures. And like, that's what I am about, is like allowing women the space to go out into the world. But a lot of times we don't want to be alone. Like, we want to solo travel, but we don't want to be like completely alone in the process. So connecting with other women is a really great way to do that. And that actually goes into one of my tips for making your solo travel experience really memorable and transforming it into this wonderful adventure, which is connecting with locals, because it really helps immerse you into the culture and the experience while you're there. And I'm sure you ladies have had some kind of experience like that, meeting with locals while you're traveling.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love the idea of the app being able to connect with women who are also background checked. Because I know when I first started solo traveling a very long time ago, 2013, like I just had a birthday and it's kind of messing with my head. But I was really into the couch surfing app. But I remember at the time I had to be super careful because a lot of the people I met were absolutely fantastic. I actually would use it to meet people in Philadelphia who also like travel just to hang out with because I grew up near there and I wanted more people who love travel like me. But you could come across some people who are a little creepy, a little sketchy. And I feel like if this app had been around when I first started traveling, it would have made a big difference.
Absolutely. Well, it stemmed out of my own personal experience solo traveling, kind of like what you went through, Rachel. I did my solo backpacking experience in 2017. And even at that time, I think that the couch surfing space is viewed as a very unsafe platform for women. And that's why I personally never even tried it, because I was like so scared of encountering men, especially on the app. So yeah, so I never even tried. So when I was connecting with locals while I was solo traveling, I was networking within my personal community. Like, hey, like, who do you know in Sydney? Who do you know in Brisbane? But like, personal networking can really only go so far, right? And I remember I was on an overnight train from Sydney to Brisbane, and I was going to get dropped off in downtown Brisbane at 4 a.m. all by myself. And it was a really scary experience. Like, I didn't know anybody in the city, and I just wished, I remember like sitting on the train and I was like, I really wish I knew someone, anyone in the city, who could give me even just some insight of the area of like, is this a safe area that I'm getting dropped off in? I was just really scared. And I was like, I really wish that there was a way for me to connect with women in specific locations who were safe, who could give me advice, and who could potentially host me. And so that's why this idea was like implanted in my heart when I got back to the States, and it stayed with me throughout the entire time. You know, several years later, we're off to the races, you know, building it. So it's exciting.
That's really amazing. And like I said, it's something I would have absolutely loved to have when I started traveling. And your story reminds me of a time when I was traveling solo in Stockholm. I was going to TBEX. This was back in 2016. And it was a similar thing. The train got in at midnight because there were a lot of cancellations from Copenhagen to Stockholm. And it was kind of a nightmare. I had to change my train all around. But like, yeah, I showed up at midnight and the train station was very quiet. I was all by myself, like nobody to pick me up. I wasn't entirely sure where my hotel was, and then my phone like just like completely died and the maps weren't working. So I remember just like running to this cab driver and I was like, help me, I don't know where I'm going. And he was super, super sweet and very reassuring. And he's like, I promise you, it's really safe here. Like nothing's going to happen. But having that app would have been worth its weight in gold because, like you said, like it's like going to visit a friend you haven't met yet. And that's what I always like with my solo travel is meeting those friends that haven't connected with yet. And it seems like the app is a wonderful way to do that. And it takes the stress out of it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is, Rachel. It's about creating, it's not just like just having well, it is about like having connections, but it's also creating community. Like it's community so that you can meet these women, develop real relationships, real friendships. And you're like, oh my gosh, now I have a friend in Japan. I have a friend in Stockholm. I have like a girlfriend here and there. And it gives you a reason to go travel when you have someone in the area who you can stay with. So I just want to open up more adventures by connecting us in a safe environment.
I love that, especially the part, like you said, we travel alone, but we don't necessarily want to be alone. So it's nice to have this option where you can go ahead, travel to a new destination, and know that it's an easy way for you to find someone that you're able to connect with. And not just that, but like, they can show you around. They can tell you what are some good places to eat, what are some neighborhoods that you don't want to visit. So it's like you have your own personal little tour guide as well. So it's pretty cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I've stayed with several ladies inside of HerHouse already. It's so fun because not only you have like a friend in a safe, free place. We host each other for free inside of HerHouse. Like we don't like pay each other for accommodation. It's all free accommodation. And so you have a safe, free place to stay. But then what I've noticed every single time I stay with her house host is she connects me with her local community. So like I immediately start creating more friendships in the area who I can connect with. And, and then your network just starts blossoming like in the new country and in the new area once you have someone who can be your friend and then introduce you to their friends.
It's like a big sleepover in a foreign country. I love it. It's so fun. Do you have any particular memories using the app that stand out that you would like to share? Because I want to do this now. I really do.
Oh my gosh, you totally should, Rachel. Okay, so let me think. So actually, I went to Puerto Rico 2 years ago for the WITS conference. And and I actually stayed with one of my hosts while I was there. And so the WITS conference was so much fun, of course. But then a highlight of it was getting to stay with Kat, my host, because we went out for drinks like almost every night. And she was like, we're going to take you here. We're going to take you there. And she's like, my friends are playing sand volleyball on the beach. Let's go. So it was just like, I got to get just immersed in her life and seeing like what it would be like to like live here, like literally live here. And I never would have gotten that if I would have just stayed in the hotel or stayed maybe in a hostel, right? Like you get a completely different experience when you're staying with a host, with a local. And I think that was like such a fun experience for me there. One other experience that really stands out in my mind is I stayed with Jody in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And one thing that I did with Jody is like I saved at least over $1,000 because I stayed with her almost a week. And so I was like, Jody, I would really love to take you on like a tour. And, locals don't do tours of, their hometown and stuff like that. But I was like, Jody, I found this dolphin kayaking tour. And I want to like treat you to that. So I took her on this tour and she's like, oh my gosh, like I've lived here for like 10 years and I've never done this. So what's cool about it is that the hosts also get out into their own backyard and they get out and like do fun stuff in their local area when they have HerHouse guests stay with them too. So that was really fun.
So fun. It's like seeing your home with brand new eyes because Rosa and I were from New Jersey. And I know for me, I put off seeing the Statue of Liberty for I don't know how many years. I finally saw it like a couple years ago, but it was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it. But then when I did the tour, it was a lot of fun.
100%. You don't do like that kind of stuff like when you're a local. So maybe it can take someone visiting you to actually get out and do that fun stuff in your local area.
And that's whenever I have people coming over from Dominican Republic, or my husband has family from Colombia. That's when we, play tours. I remember I went to the Empire State Building for the first time. This was maybe about 10, 15 years ago after living here for, pretty much my whole life. And it was because my cousin was like, I really want to go there. Do you love it? And I'm like, honestly, I've never been. And they're like, what? But you lived here for over 20 years. And I was like, well, now I have the excuse. So now every time someone comes to like New York for the first time, it's either like the Statue of Liberty or like Empire State Building. But same thing. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But maybe let's also do X, Y, and Z and kind of show them other things that they can see in the area as well. So I love the concept, like you said, just also immersing yourself in their day-to-day lives. Because I always imagine when I travel somewhere and I'm like, what would it be like if I lived here, like in Portugal? Or we just went to Greece last month and I was telling my husband, I can totally live here and become a farmer. So we spent a day with like a local family and I thought it was so cool. In reality, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know about that. I'm like really big on my manicures.
You would be great. What are you talking about?
Really?
It's like me wanting to be a park ranger in the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon.
Yeah, I was like, no. You can kind of daydream, and even if it's for like a week or a month, but the financial aspect of it too, right? Being a big saver component when traveling. I know for myself, aside from flights, accommodations are like the big ticket number. So having the feasibility to be able to kind of save on that, it's definitely huge. So I love that about the app. So thank you, Tess, for sharing that. But we want to know, what are some other ways that solo trips can transform you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of my other tips for making your solo trip a really transformative experience is writing. Write as much as you can. I actually have a habit. I've been writing every single morning probably since I was like 9 years old. It's just like my thing, right? But I carried that habit with me all while I was solo backpacking. And the cool thing about writing, if you can do it every day, maybe a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening, the cool thing about writing is it really etches memories into your heart and into your mind, and it allows you to really soak them in and remember them when you write them down. Actually, because I wrote every single day while I was backpacking and I lived on sailing yachts for a while I was overseas, I was able to write my book. Like, I wrote my book based on my journal entries from when I was overseas. So it's like having journal to look back on. They're some of my most cherished like possessions that I have is like my journals from when I was overseas. It's a really transformative season, especially if you allow it to really impact your heart and heal you from the inside. And just journaling about it is really gonna make it very memorable for you.
That's so sweet. I love it.
I love that. And it's so true. You just remember things so much more clearly. I always tell my students whenever we're doing like slide presentations to give the background on some book, I have them physically take notes and write it down, because I'm like, guys, when you physically write something down, it is true that you remember it a lot better. And I'm always meaning to take a journal with me and actually keep it. And you're inspiring me to do that, because I always tell myself, I'm going to keep this journal, I'm going to keep this journal, and then I'll write like maybe two things and then it sits in my bed.
That's usually how it goes. I actually saw something cute. I don't know if it was like TikTok or Instagram. There's similar concept, except this person, wherever they would travel to, and they would meet locals or other tourists, they would have them write something in like their journal. And then when they would come, yeah, I thought it was really cool. And then when they would come back home, and it could be something about the activity they were doing, or maybe something that that person did in that destination that, was a highlight for them. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, that's pretty awesome, because like you said, sometimes, especially when you're traveling, you're so go, go, go. And even though when you come back home, you might kind of remember, the overall trip, but maybe there's specific moments that were really touching to you that you might have forgotten about. I know when I go back through pictures, I love going through my camera roll sometimes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, remember when we did, this, or we did that, or we met this person? So it's pretty cool to kind of also tap into the memories, and it kind of like brings out that feeling that you had in that destination as well. So that's a pretty cool idea.
Love that. So good. Well, let's see here. Are you ready for my third tip?
Yeah,
Okay.
always.
So my third tip is give yourself space to do like completely new and different things. And I say this because like when I was living in Australia, I had gotten a bartending job, and I was living in the Gold Coast. And so I basically had this realization, like I got a bartending job and I'm like living in a flat on the beach, and it was awesome. Like I loved living in the Gold Coast. But I got to this point and I realized I'm like, oh my gosh, I flew to the other side of the world and I'm literally doing the exact same thing that I was back in Texas. Like I'm bartending all night, sleeping till like noon, hanging out for a couple of hours, and then going back to work and bartending all night. Like it was literally the exact same life that I was living in Texas, but I was in Australia. And I was like, I need to do something like completely different that I've never done. Like, that's why I'm here, right? Like, to have new experiences. And so that's when I had the memory of seeing the yacht crew needed sign. I saw a yacht crew needed sign at my last hostel, and I had like picked off the number for the sailor who was needing yacht crew. And I was like, I wonder if I still have that number. Because this is like totally out of my comfort zone. Like, I've never done anything like this before. I grew up on the back of a horse. I did not grow up around water. I grew up in Colorado. So I was like, this is something totally out of anything I've ever done before. And so I ended up calling him and I ended up going and sailing with him. I sailed with him for 2 weeks and then I ended up yacht hopping onto different yachts up to the Whitsunday Islands. And it became like the most incredible adventure of my life. So like, I think that's another thing to like remember when you go and solo travel is give yourself space to do things that you would never do in your normal life.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about the solo travels, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Because, like you said, you're going somewhere new. So, why continue to do the same routine that you're doing back home? I know for myself, when I travel, it's to kind of get out of that everyday routine. So, just doing something completely different and things that I never do back home. I'm like a completely different person when I travel. I'm like more adventurous. I'm also more laid back and more fun because I'm less stressed. I don't have to worry about work or, other things going on back home. So, I think traveling, especially when you're by yourself, it's really good when you kind of push yourself out of that comfort zone and then you look back at those memories. You're like, wow, I actually did that.
Yeah, it's really something that I always encourage too when people say that they're going to travel by themselves. I'm always like, you do need to like push yourself a bit, do something that you never would experience like at home. I always think about this solo backpacking trip. It was 7 weeks long. And when we were in Slovenia, I decided to go paragliding off of the Julian Alps and I'm scared to fly. It was like a whole thing. Like this guy, like on the backpacking bus convinced me to do it. And I didn't want to look lame and say no. So I was like, okay. And then it was an hour drive up to the top of the mountain, then like a 25-minute hike to the ledge. And then we get up there and he's like, actually, this is kind of high. But then it was like too late to back out. And it was really, I remember just like my pilot, like being all strapped in. I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, you run for the cliff, but don't like try to stop yourself because your body will want to naturally want to hold itself back. And apparently, if you sit down too soon, it'll hurt your knees and all this stuff. So I was like, oh my God. But it was amazing. And I did it. And it didn't help me get over my fear of flying, but it was pretty cool. I mean, it was awesome.
And I'm sure it was like a memory that you'll have for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love telling that story. I think I told it to one of my classes the other week and they were looking at me like I had 5 heads. They were just like, you seriously did that? You weren't scared? And I was like, oh no, I was peeing my pants. I was pretty scared. And there was a girl on the same group and she went before me. And when she like got sucked up into the sky, all we hear is this piercing scream. Like, what did I do? Why did I do this to myself? But the views were beautiful. Like, once we got up there, I disassociated a little bit. And I'm like, okay, I'm just like hanging from this parachute thing, like in the sky looking around, but it's so beautiful. And I got lots of pictures. It was really cool.
Oh my gosh. Sign me up. Like I would 100% do that if I had the opportunity. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go to Austria or Switzerland or something and do it again. I'm on board.
Yes.
I'll be on the ground taking videos and photos for you.
You'll take the footage. You'll be like, bye, Rachel. Keep being crazy.
I'm not that adventurous. I take it back. Another thing too, I know Rachel and I kind of talked about this in another episode. Traveling can also be transformative. Maybe you're going through a different period in your life, and this could be a way to kind of reconnect with yourself. You never know until you're forced to be in a situation or a destination where you have to think on your own, right? You're only relying on yourself because when you're traveling alone, it could be scary because you can't blame anyone for your bad decisions. Yes, you might be able to consult with someone like, hey, should I do this or should I do that? But all of the decisions, it's really on you. And sometimes that could be a little bit scary, but it can also be liberating. Whether maybe you're going through like a breakup or you're dealing with grief or a situation in your life where you kind of need a new start or, a blank page. So I feel like solo travel can also be transformative in that sense. So do you have any tips for someone who, maybe they're going through something and they're contemplating contemplating going on an adventure, but maybe they're a little bit scared. What would be some tips that you can give to someone to kind of, push them to finally take that leap?
Well, I would say that you should do it. Like, I think that if your heart is calling for a solo trip and you have the opportunity to do it, you need to do it. Because there might be times in your life when you don't really have that opportunity. Like right now, I'm much more stabilized. I recently had a baby. So like now is not the time for me to, go on like 6 month or a year, like solo traveling, like eat, pray, love experience. But right after I had gotten out of college, I had this window. I had this window of time where I had that opportunity. And I knew in my heart I had to do it for myself, but like I couldn't just not do it. I felt like if I didn't do it, I would regret it for the rest of my life. And solo traveling doesn't call to everybody. Sometimes I tell people what I do, like helping solo women like travel the world and stuff, and they look at me like I have two heads. Like I'm a crazy person. But I'll tell you, like if you're a solo woman traveler or aspiring to solo travel as a woman, we get you. Like in HerHouse, we understand this desire and what you want to do. And we don't think you're crazy. We think you're incredible. And it will be the most life changing and transformative experiences of your life. And to just go for it. And that's probably what I would say to them.
You heard her, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. It was the same with me when I was 26 in between jobs. I just had this strong desire to travel solo from reading travel blogs, and the opportunity opened to go to Scotland. And then that was it. It changed me forever. That was it. It was like that one trip. I was ruined from that point onward.
And you've been hooked ever since.
Yes, I have. I think of all the money I've spent over the years, and I'm like, I could have a house. But you know what? I'd rather have the travel memories. It's cool.
Rachel, super interested. So you were like in between jobs? Is that kind of like what happened?
Yeah, it was a weird situation. So I had just gotten my master's degree, and at the time, New Jersey was going through some issues with their budget. So it was really hard to get a tenure track teaching position in the public schools. And I was doing a lot of long-term subbing, but I had no permanent job. And it was kind of really depressing. Like my cousins and all are moving out. I'm stuck at home with my parents. And I would just like read travel blogs in the morning before going in the sub. So I was like, I'm going to save my money from subbing. I don't really care if this is reckless. And I want to do this too. I just want to travel and explore and see things. And I'm so glad that I did, because if I like let the money stop me and let like the whole consuming thing of looking for a job stop me, I wouldn't have ever gone anywhere. And now I have a great job. I have a tenure track position. I've been tenured for a while. I've been at this job, I think 8 years. So it did eventually work out. But yeah, at the time I was just like, I just have to go for this now while I can and then figure the rest out later, because I don't know if later is going to happen. So yeah, it was kind of like a weird situation. There was a lot influx, but I didn't care. And then my 7-week trip actually that I took, I had gotten a teaching job at a private school. I got laid off from that job and I had already paid for the trip. And my mom was like, well, what do you want to do? Because like summer is when you like have to look for a job. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going to go travel. I'll figure it out when I'm back. And then when I was in Austria, that same school called me and they were like, another teacher in the department left, so we'll hire you back. And so the problem solved itself.
See? If you would have stayed home, you probably would have been all depressed, stressed out about it.
And so mad.
And
Exactly.
solo travel can also look different. I know for myself, I had my daughter when I was 20 years old, so I was younger. So I didn't get the whole experience out of college, being able to travel somewhere or travel abroad. My situation was a little bit different. But once my daughter went away to school, I don't really have those constraints back home aside from like my 9 to 5. That's the only thing that holds me back from being able to travel more. But, for me, solo travel started a little bit later in life. And I feel like with that, like, there's not a right age. Like, I always thought, like, oh, that's something that you have to do in your 20s. Like, now I'm in my late 30s. Now I'm 40 years old. Like, people my age don't travel solo. But, that's not the mentality, because solo travel can look different for all of us. Whether you're 20, 40, 60 years old, there's never the wrong time to start. So like you said, if this is something that you're leaning and your heart is pushing you to do, then just do it. The money will come So why not?
Totally will. And Rosa, it's interesting. I really designed her house originally like for ladies in their 20s, right? Because that's who I was. Like I had gotten out of college and that's who I thought solo backpacked and solo traveled. But what's crazy is that when I started sharing her house, I had so many ladies, 50s plus, really pumped about this community and about this app because a lot of these ladies, 50s plus, they're widowed, empty nesters, divorced, they've been through some stuff, right? And they're wanting to travel. They're maybe needing some healing season and they're not wanting to stop living life, right? They're wanting to travel, but maybe they don't have anybody to go with them. And so that's why her house is like a great fit for them. And it was so cool, like meeting all of these women, like 50s plus, who are like solo traveling the world. They're like incredible. And that's the cool thing about a community like her house is that it spans generations, but then it also spans like um levels. Like we have ladies who have been solo traveling for like a decade, who are maybe in their 20s or maybe not 20s, but like 30s or 40s, who can give insight to a woman who's really scared, who's like in her 60s, who's gonna like solo travel for the very first time, So we have like some like mentorship inside of her house to really encourage new solo women travelers that they can do this. They can do this too. Like if all these women can do it, so can you.
Yeah, I love that. It's so inspiring because I know I'm asked this a lot. I just turned 38 and I'll have women in their 50s, 60s, 70s asking me, can I still travel solo? And it's like, absolutely you can. Like solo travel is for any age at any time.
100%. So many ladies like 50s, 60s, 70s are solo traveling. Just hop on that bandwagon because like we're going, and it's like if it calls to your heart, like you have a community to find in here.
And that's funny too. I know from a lot of stuff in social media, it's like I said, I always assumed or thought in my mind, like, oh, it's something that you do right out of college when you're young. But I feel like a lot of brands, I even know like a lot of, travel groups, that they're ideally, this is like the ideal age and demographic that they're marketing to are women that are in like their late 40s or like early 50s, because they do see that there is a big market for that because like you said, these women are going through this transforming stage in their life. And I know for myself, a lot of my friends now, they have younger children, so their situation is a little bit different than mine, and they don't have the flexibility to go on a trip or be spontaneous, whereas for me, I do have that flexibility. And I know I'm just like, you know what, I can't wait for someone else, so why not just do it myself? And I've been doing a little bit of solo travel now for the last like 5 or 6 years, and again, it's something very liberating. You're on your own time, you do as much or as little as you want. Like I remember I went to Florida and my husband was joking around because he's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm just here eating a burrito, watching TV. And he's like, Rosa, you could be doing this at home. And I'm like, yeah, but like if I open my window, I see the beach, and I don't see the beach in my backyard. But it felt, so amazing. I just got to do whatever I want, went to sleep when I wanted to. So you also have the freedom to pick and choose what you want to do, how adventurous you want to be. So solo traveling is definitely very, very empowering.
I'm curious, Rosa, like since you're solo traveling like with like maybe, you're also a mom. So like how are you solo traveling much? Is it more like weekend getaways, or do you go somewhere for like a week, or do you do more long term? Like what's it look like for you?
So because I do have a corporate job, I don't really have too much flexibility with being able to go long term. So when I do get to travel for a longer period of time, I am exclusive doing that with my family. But when I'm traveling by myself, it's a combination of both. I usually try to do more weekend getaways, and like the most that I'll go away maybe like 3 or 4 days somewhere. So the last trip that I did, what was it? We actually went, well, Rachel and I, so it wasn't really necessarily solo, it was a girls trip. We went to Florida. But prior to that, I went to Mexico, and I was there, I think, for 5 days. And then I went to Utah for a conference, and I did a couple of days by myself there. So I try not to do more than a week. I also have my husband back home and my dog. So I can't forget about them. I always joke around. I was like, okay, I'm not completely alone. So I have somewhat of responsibility.
Can't go off to Fiji for a month.
I'll come back to no house or dog.
Oh my gosh. If I did that, I would just come back to no money, but that's fine.
But I think that's like a cool thing to think about too, Rosa, because I'm a new mom. right? And I have a 1-year-old. And I feel like I'm kind of like wanting to take a weekend by myself somewhere. And I'm like, wait a second, because I always thought like the 30 to 40 age group like wasn't really ladies who would use her house very much because they're like raising kids and stuff like that. But I'm just like, I'm in this place where I feel like even just like 2 or 3 days going somewhere by myself would just be really reviving for me. And I'm like, wait a minute, can moms use this too? And I was like, yes, moms can use this too. And like, it's something for like all generations, and that you can be a mom and still solo travel here and there. Like moms have like that mentality that like they can't take care of themselves, and solo travel is really self-care. It's like caring for yourself and doing something good for your heart and your soul and your mind. And so like, I encourage all you moms who have kids on here, like get a babysitter, maybe have your spouse or your partner like take over for like a few days, like for a weekend, and just go somewhere for a few days. I'm sure it would be really reviving for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like a nice little staycation. Like you said, it doesn't have to be something big. I think just to even to recharge. I know for myself, actually, doing more local adventures by myself, it's a little bit more relaxing than going somewhere further distance because I don't have to worry about, especially taking like a plane and packing, all of those things. Whereas I went to like this place in upstate New York, and it was like an all-inclusive resort, like a wellness resort. And that was amazing. I was there for like 3 days, 2 nights, like massages, they had like pool, the food was included. I didn't need to worry about like driving or leaving the resort. So for me, that was so relaxing because I didn't have to really think about anything. Everything was sort of planned out for me. So that was a great way to kind of quickly recharge. And I think too, as a mom and having like a younger child, for peace of mind, I know for myself, I don't think I could have ever gone somewhere for a long period of time, leaving my daughter at home. As capable as Michael can be, like, let's be honest, I would be stressed out. Like, did you feed her? Did you do this? And like, it would have been too much. So for myself personally, in my situation and just the way that I am, I could be a little bit of a control freak. So I know going away for a long period of time wouldn't be something that I necessarily would have done. But again, it really depends on your situation. Like you said, mentally traveling is a form of self-care. And I think sometimes all of us, whether you're a parent or not, we live a busy life. It could be a stressful job, caring for someone else. So having those moments, especially with traveling, like I said before, like you're kind of escaping your day-to-day routine. So even if it's spending a day in a city near you, like for me, going to New York City, that's an adventure on its own. Like it's outside of my comfort level here in New Jersey. I'm walking, I'm doing things that I'm not necessarily doing back home. So even doing a day trip or a staycation somewhere, it could be definitely relaxing as well.
Yeah, I was about to say New York, because it's true, you don't necessarily have to go far away to reset like that. And this was, again, years ago, I had gone through a breakup. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to New York every single weekend and go to a museum that I like, go to a bookstore, and then treat myself to lunch. And it was just like an excellent form of self-care. And like you said, Rosa, it's nice to be able to focus on just you for a change and what you want, because I feel like women in general, we tend to put a lot of other people first before ourselves. And just being able to get away where it's just like, what do you want to do today? It's really an empowering and nice feeling. And I know I need it very, very often.
It's so good for your soul and so good for your heart. I love it. I do have one more tip that I
Share
think
it with
would really be
us. Yeah,
helpful.
let's hear it.
So one thing that I did while I was solo traveling that made my time really memorable was I created a playlist that I had on my phone.
I love this. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with making playlists for like every mood, every vibe. I love this.
Yes, and it's literally still on my phone. It's my adventure playlist. And so and like I'll listen to it when like I get in the car to like go somewhere new, or I just have like an adventurous like feeling like I want to go do something. And I listened to it a lot while I was backpacking, and it continues to bring me back to those days and brings that adventurous fire up in my heart. And so personally, I love The Secret Life of Walter Mitty's soundtrack with Jose Gonzalez a lot. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that soundtrack, but it's incredible. And that's when I take a lot of my songs first from there, and then I like built my soundtrack on that. So that's one thing. That's my last thing that I think would make it really memorable.
That's really
So
fun.
fun.
I still think of like the 2010s, like all the hit songs that would come out because those are what would be playing in the hostels and playing on the beach club and Split Croatia. When they come on the radio, I'm like mentally there. I'm like, yes, I'm back backpacking when I was 27.
And music can be like such a motivator too. I know I did a solo trip to Maine 2 summers ago, and I decided I wanted to do this hike. And I'm not very outdoorsy. And as I'm walking, I was getting tired, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn back. Like nobody's gonna know. I'm just gonna turn back. Like normally, if I'm hiking with my daughter, I can't. I have to push through and go to the top. But I was by myself, and then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do this. So I went through my playlist, and I have what I call like my workout songs, and it's just like EDM music, just very like upbeat music. I'm like jamming to like Swedish House Mafia, and I'm like, you can do it, Rosa. And I'm like singing in my head, and sure enough, next thing you know, I was like at the top of the hill. And I was like, you know what? Thank God I had like my playlist. It pumped me up. It like motivated. It put me like in a different spirit too. And I think without that, I probably would have just like turned back and gotten in my car and went back to like the Airbnb. So music
Need
is
that.
definitely a good push.
I need like that like pump of excitable music for when I'm flying because I scared to fly. Whenever I hit turbulence, I immediately go to like my happy pop playlist and like crank it up real loud just to get me through it. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
That's awesome. It's a great thing to remember, and I think it's a gift that you'll cherish, honestly, for the rest of your life because it'll continue to bring back floods of memories of when you were solo traveling.
Yeah, totally. So, Tess, I have to ask out of curiosity, we have a lot of listeners who may be nervous about traveling solo, haven't done it yet. Do you have any like good destinations that come to mind for a first time solo traveler looking to get out there?
Yeah, well, I would say like if you're a first time solo traveler and you're really kind of wanting to like dip your toe in it, the first thing I would say is that you could start domestic. Don't feel like you need to fly to the other side of the world to start reaping the benefits of solo traveling. Just like what Rosa said, you can drive to a new city for a weekend or even just fly to another state in your home country. You don't have to go international. So that's one thing I would say to someone who was wanting to like start dipping their toe in it. I personally loved Australia and New Zealand.
I want to go so badly. Do you think I
Yeah,
could get through those flights? I've been to Japan, so I did that.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll create
yeah,
a
no, you're
playlist for
fine.
you.
Yes, I need a
Just like,
playlist. I want to go to New Zealand so bad and be a hobbit. It's like a lifelong dream.
hey, Rachel, we have some great HerHouse hosts in New Zealand
Well,
too.
that'd be so fun. I
Mhm.
could do a whole
Yes.
itinerary there. Oh,
Mhm.
the wheels are turning.
Oh my gosh, you have to go.
2026.
26. Yeah, I would totally do it. When I flew into Tokyo, like on the GPS, like I could see like New Zealand down there on the map, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually so close. Maybe I can do this one day.
You can totally do it. Like, the whole world is just like a plane ride away, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you can totally do that. New Zealand and Australia are very, very safe, very normal to see women traveling alone and like solo. If you're backpacking, very, very common to see backpackers and just solo travelers in general. So those are two other places like I would say, but I haven't like spent a whole lot of time in Europe. So I'm sure there's lots of other places in Europe that you ladies can shed light to, but those are the things that I would come off the top of my head.
I know. I
Yeah.
actually saw this list, and I think Copenhagen was actually named one of the safest European city for solo female travelers. I personally haven't been to Copenhagen, but it's definitely on my list. Hopefully, United gets it together with the direct flights out of Newark, because it's only I think like a 6 hour plane ride from Newark. It's pretty
Yeah,
short.
it was something like that. Like when I went to Copenhagen, I had to connect through Heathrow because I flew through Philadelphia and there were no direct flights. But I loved it. It was really safe, easy to walk around, great public transportation. My brother was actually just there and he was saying what a great time he had, and it makes me want to go back. And they had a lot of good things, my brother and sister in law, to say about Norway as well. Just taking the trains and seeing the natural beauty there.
Yeah. And one of the destination both Rachel and I love. I don't know if you've been, Tess, but Japan. That's like one of our. We rave about Japan any second we get.
Japan is like in my head right now, y'all. Like, you are
It's a
in.
sign. It's a sign.
You should do
I
it.
know, no, I've
Japan
been
is
thinking about it.
calling.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine who is like, they're really kind to people with babies.
Yeah.
They're
No,
like
They
but
they're
are.
like
Yeah.
super accommodating. I was like, well, maybe I could take my baby to Japan.
You should. That would
yeah.
be amazing. It's a wonderful place to go. I always wanted to go, but like the flight always kind of put me off. And Newark has direct flight, so it's like 13 hours. And I was like, well, maybe, but that's like really long. I've only ever done like 7 hours to Europe. And then one day woke up. I wake up early to teach high school because school starts at 7:30. And I was sitting on my sofa drinking my coffee, and I was like, I don't care. I'm just doing it. I went in the United app and just booked the flight. And then when it went through, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And I called my mom from my classroom and was like, I may have just booked Japan. And she was like, you should book Japan. She's like, you've always wanted to go there. Go have fun. You'll be fine. And it was worth the flight. And I was able to do it. And navigating on my own wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like the language barrier wasn't much of an issue whatsoever for me.
For safety too, I feel like Japan was definitely very safe. I never felt uncomfortable, even though I did travel with my spouse and daughter at the time. But I remember us taking the train, and for a lot of the public transportation, they had like women only carts. So I feel like that's a great destination for solo female travel as well. But it's also very family friendly. Like I remember even going to like the restroom, like the changing areas for the kids. I was like, they don't have this back home. Like this is so clean, organized. I remember going into a restroom like at one of the subways, and even they had like diapers, and I was like, wait a minute, like, and this is free? Like it's Japan is a whole nother world. Highly
Yeah.
recommend.
You're just I'm just I have to do it now.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Do
Just
it.
do it.
Do it. Can't say enough good things about the safety. My first day there, I was really jet lagged and I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was starving. And they have 24-hour ramen places in Tokyo. And I got on the first subway car at 4 a.m. and went and I got my ramen, felt perfectly safe, relaxed. And it's like, I love New York City, but I'm not doing that there.
No, I would not walk around New York City past like midnight by
Hell no.
myself.
Sorry, New York, love you, but yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's awesome that you felt so safe to do that. That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Absolutely loved it. Couldn't get enough of it. So for everybody listening out there, hopefully this is making you want to travel solo and you should just do it. That's like the motto of this podcast. Just do it. Use Her House, connect with all of these badass women from around the world, build community. Just do it.
Just do it. It's gonna be great. Love it.
This has been amazing. I'm ready to book a trip.
I need to book another one. I have 3 trips this summer and I need to book another one. This is so bad. I'm going to declare bankruptcy at this rate.
No. I have like zero PTO days. I'm like going through my days, and I'm usually pretty good. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I really only have like 10 days, I think. All of my other days have been allocated. So now I'm like, oh, now this is the hard part where I have to kind of pick and choose where I can go to and when. So we'll see. But this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Tess. We loved having you on the show. So can you tell the listeners where they can find you on social media? And if they want to learn more about Her House, where they can find that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find more info and learn more about Her House at herhouse.co. Herhouse.co is the website. And that's actually all the handles as well. So it's at herhouse.co on Instagram and TikTok. So I'm behind those platforms. So you can message me there, or you can message me also on my personal Instagram at Tess Millhollon too on Instagram too. So that's a great way to get in touch.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to also include all of the handles and the website as well on the show notes so they can make sure to follow you and definitely learn more about Her House. Join the app because I feel like this is such a great platform, like we said throughout the episode, to be able to connect and not just that, to empower you and then hopefully give you that push and motivator to get out there and finally take that leap and make that solo travel happen for you.
Absolutely. Like, actually, Her House is on the Google and Apple Play stores right now. So you can go download it, create a profile, and then when you're ready to start traveling and using it to connect with ladies, we have just a membership fee. It's all free accommodation. It's just, we just do a membership fee to help like support the software and stuff like that. So you can always get your membership there, and we'd love to have you in the community.
Yeah, I'm going to be downloading it like as soon as this episode is done because I have a trip to New Zealand to plan and I definitely want to use it.
We have some
There you go.
awesome ladies in New Zealand. You'll love them.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Well, thank you so much, Tess, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And for all of the listeners out there, go to herhouse.co, download the app, join the community. And as always, thank you for tuning in and make sure to follow us on socials as well at Bon Voyage Besties. And we love you guys and we'll see you in the next one. Take care and happy travels.
Bye.